Hey, welcome to The Explainer. So you're the new CAS coordinator for the IB Diploma Programme? First off, congrats. But yeah, we both know it's a huge role. Today, we're going to break it all down and make it totally manageable.
Okay, so if you're just stepping into this job, you've probably looked at that official program outline and thought, whoa, it can feel pretty overwhelming, right? But don't you worry. We're going to take that dense document and turn it into your roadmap, a really practical blueprint so you can build an amazing CAS program right from day one.
All right, we've broken this down into 5 key stages. First, we'll nail down your role and what you've got to work with. Then, it's all about building your support team. After that, we map out the whole 18-month journey. We'll dive right into the heart of what the students will be doing, and then we'll wrap up with how to track everything and handle the reporting. Sound good? Let's get into it.
Okay, first things first. Before you do anything else, we have to get a crystal clear picture of what your job actually is and what resources you have. Seriously, getting this foundation right from the get-go is everything.
So the very first question you need to get a straight answer on from your school's leadership is this. Are you the full-time, dedicated CAS coordinator, or are you juggling this with a bunch of other teaching or admin duties? Because that answer completely changes the game in terms of how you manage your time and structure the whole program.
And this is where you really need to get specific. What percentage of your scheduled time is officially for CAS? You need a number. Is it 25%, 50%, 75%? Getting this nailed down from the very beginning is absolutely crucial. Not just for your own sanity and planning, but for when you have to go back and advocate for the resources you're definitely going to need.
Right. Speaking of resources, your most important one, it's people. Let me be clear, you cannot, and you really shouldn't, try to do this all by yourself. Building a solid advisory team isn't just a nice-to-have, especially in bigger schools. It's absolutely essential if you want to give students the guidance they deserve. Okay, building your team really boils down to 4 key steps. You've got to identify the right people. And let's be real, sometimes the hardest part is just finding willing staff who have the time. Then, you assign the students, give your new advisors clear direction, and, this is super important, set up procedures so that every single student is getting consistent, high-quality advice, no matter who their advisor is.
This brings us to a really critical question. How many students is each advisor going to be responsible for? And listen, this isn't just a number for a spreadsheet. It directly impacts the quality of mentorship they can provide and, honestly, the kind of personal connection your advisors can actually build with their students.
Okay, so your role is defined, your team is starting to come together. Now it's time to zoom out and look at the big picture. We're going to map out the entire 18-month CAS journey from start to finish.
So the CAS program has a non-negotiable 18-month minimum duration. This timeline here is just a sample framework to get you started. What you need to do is lock in your start and end dates, and then work backward from there to schedule all these key milestones. Things like the formal interviews and those big project deadlines. It's all about keeping everyone on track.
And this is super important to think about too. You have to plan for time both inside and outside the official school day. Yeah, you'll need to carve out scheduled time for meetings during school hours, but you also have to remember the huge amount of time students will be spending on their experiences after school and on weekends. You've got to account for it all.
All right, now we get to the real heart of it all. This is what it's all about. Your main job here is to guide students as they put together a CAS program that's not only meaningful to them, but also ticks all the boxes for the 7 required learning outcomes. First up, creativity. Here, you're nudging students towards experiences that really push them to explore their own ideas. And we're thinking way beyond just taking an art class. This could be anything from learning guitar from scratch, designing a whole stage set for the school play, or even starting a creative writing blog.
Next is activity. The focus here is pretty straightforward. It's all about physical exertion that helps build a healthy lifestyle. Basically, just getting students moving. Whether that's training for their very first 10K run, learning a totally new sport like rock climbing, or maybe committing to a weekly dance class.
And finally, we have service. This is all about working with the community in a way that's collaborative and reciprocal. The key phrases to remember here are authentic need and partnership. The real goal is to move students beyond just thinking about charity and into a space of genuine, respectful collaboration.
And don't forget, on top of all their individual experiences, every single student has to complete at least one CAS project. It's got to be collaborative, so working with others, it has to last for at least a month, and it can be focused on any one of the 3 strands, or even better, combine a couple of them.
Now, your students aren't just going to be working with their school advisors. They're going to have supervisors for specific experiences, and a lot of those people are going to be from outside the school, out in the wider community. And that brings up a really critical logistical question that you have to figure out ahead of time.
Yeah, giving these community supervisors a proper briefing is it's non-negotiable. You have to do it. They need to understand the why behind CAS, not just the what. Your job is to clearly explain what's expected of the student, what's expected of them, and, super important, make sure they know exactly who to call at the school if they have any questions or run into any problems.
Okay, we're in the home stretch. So, with all this amazing stuff happening, you absolutely need a solid system for keeping track of progress, making sure students are actually learning from what they do, and, of course, documenting the whole journey.
You're basically going to be running two recording systems side by side. On one hand, each student will have their own personal CAS portfolio. That's their space for collecting evidence and writing reflections. And then, on the other hand, you at the school will maintain the official record that tracks their progress toward completing all the program requirements. Look, just doing the activities, that's not enough. Reflection is the engine that actually turns those experiences into learning. It's huge. So your main strategy here is to build in regular chances for students to just pause and think, Ask themselves, what happened? Why did it matter? What did I learn about myself, about other people?
And the 3 formal interviews are your best tools for guiding that reflection. The first one is all about planning. The midpoint interview is your chance to check in, see how things are going, and make any adjustments. And that final interview, that's the big one. It's a capstone conversation to look back on their entire journey and really reflect on their overall growth.
And that's really the whole point of all this admin and structure, isn't it? You're not just a box checker. As the coordinator, your job is to build a framework that lets students turn what looks like a list of requirements into a journey of real, meaningful, personal growth.
So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought to take with you as you start this new role. Once your students start doing incredible things, and trust me, they will, how are you going to celebrate that? How will you share it? Because promoting their work doesn't just make them feel good, it inspires the entire school community and shows everyone the true value of CAS.